But first, another unbelievable story that nobody or very few in the media seem willing to tell you. A group of highly trained military deserters band together to take over a powerful drug cartel. They are known for their brutal violence. Scary reality? You bet. They're taking their brand of brutality right to our borders. They are called the Zetas. And they started as 50 military men recruited by a notorious former drug cartel leader with training from such places as Israel and Colombia and here in the U.S. Now, the original 50 guys have grown into a powerful 2,000-member paramilitary that is slowly overpowering the drug cartels that they were originally recruited to work for, and they are terrorizing most of Mexico. Their grip now is starting to spread here to the United States. But hey, let's work on a comprehensive package. Their strategy? Gain control of the drug distribution routes in the U.S. by controlling all of our entry points at the border. And they are doing anything to make that happen, including, according to some reports, issuing lucrative bounties to anyone who will kill a U.S. border agent. What you are about to hear will amaze you on two fronts. A, that it's really happening, and B, that you most likely haven't heard about it. Mike Cutler is a former senior secret special agent with the INS and a fellow at the Center for Immigration Studies. He joins me now, as does Larry Burns. He's the director for the Council for Hemispheric Affairs. Mike, let me start with you.
Sure. Thanks for having me on today.
You bet. How much of a threat are these guys to the U.S.?
Well, I think they're a tremendous threat. And look at the way that they're operating. They are extremely violent. They've had some of the best training, and because they've worked with our own agents, they understand our playbook. They know what our tactics are. They know our rules of engagement,
which are very little. I mean, these guys are really well armed.
Absolutely, they're well armed and they're extremely violent, and they're getting what they want. Now, by growing their numbers as they are, my concern is that while they are making the border a much more violent place, and believe me, it is, the point will be reached when they will have enough people, I fear, that they will then be heading towards the rest of the United States to shepherd their drug loads, not just along the border, but to their endpoints in cities around the country, and that's really the danger.
Larry, tell me a little bit about these guys. They have done beheadings. They have made videos. I mean, this is Al-Qaeda stuff. They executed 100 women, did they not?
Well, they're tough. They're very tough. But they bespeak probably a much more serious problem, which is that Mexico is going through an institutional crisis where law and order increasingly doesn't exist. And the Zeta phenomena is merely one part of it. Another one is the lack of predictable justice in the court system of the country, that you can threaten, you can extort, you can bribe, justice is for sale. The new president started an anti-drug war, anti-cartel war upon his inauguration 4 or 5 months ago, in the same way that his predecessor Vicente Fox did. But this thing plays out after a while. It is not a serious commitment.
How high does the corruption go there? I mean, and does it spill into the United States? Something's wrong with our border and our side of the border as well. Is it corruption? Does it spill across the border?
Well, first of all, you should understand that all the territory we're talking about, California, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, before 1848 belonged to Mexico. And so Mexicans feel they're simply migrating for the season to the northern borders. I mean, the history of the Guadalupe Hidalgo Treaty is not a particularly honorable one. But even more to the point, today, the Mexican government is incapable of creating jobs. So a number of years ago,
but I got to tell you, Mike, let me come to you.
Sure, absolutely.
We can get a history lesson on what Mexicans. We're talking about the Zetas. We're talking about people who are brutal killers.
Line.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you, Glenn. The bottom line is this. We have no control over our border. We don't have enough Border Patrol agents. I've testified before Congress at the administration's unwillingness to hire an adequate number of Border Patrol agents, an adequate number of ICE agents. You look at the level of violence, You look at the precarious position that the Border Patrol is in. The agents are down there being overwhelmed by people who have more violent, more weapons with a greater propensity toward violence. When they do get involved in a situation like Ramos and Campeon, they run the risk of getting arrested and prosecuted. And we're seeing drugs flowing across the country. The president is still pushing to have trucks flowing across the Mexican border. We don't have agents in sufficient quantities from within the United States to combat the problem. So we have all these incentives for people to violate the borders, come to the United States, sell their drugs, do all these other things, and we're supposed to be waging a war on terror. If you don't secure the border, how do you defend your country against the bad guys?
Let me go here, because these guys want to control the ports. They're not just talking about, you know, where we don't have gates and fences. They want to control our ports, which goes right to what I have believed has been going on in our government for a while. And look this up, spp.gov, I believe. It is this idea that there is no border.
That's right.
That we're fine. There's no way to control anything. I mean, what is NAFTA? Either one of you guys, what has NAFTA done to the drug cartels?
Well, I think I was very much against NAFTA, but of course most of American corporations were very much in favor of NAFTA. And NAFTA was a gift from Bill Clinton. And we were told it's going to be a win-win situation. Well, it didn't turn out to be a win-win situation. Some people won, and some people lost.
Yeah, we seem to be
the biggest thing that happened was, look, there were Mexican farmers who lost their farms and headed north looking for employment. But the bottom line is, if we have no control over the borders, we have no control over national security. That's the thing that people need to understand.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. By the way, the Attorney General in Mexico has said the Zetas are in control of much of Mexico.